Hello and welcome to today's video. So as I said in the last video, we will be covering this computer, the Dell Latitude E6400, and in this video we will be installing Debian Linux from my Mac Mini which is acting as a netboot server. Specifically a Pixie boot server. And so the installation files aren't stored on the Mac Mini, they will be downloaded from the internet, but the bootloader and the actual Debian installer are stored on the Mac Mini. So before we get started, let's just take a look at the configuration on the Mac Mini itself. So, to get the network boot set up, here I am SSH'd into my Mac Mini, which is my main server for this entire operation, from my ThinkPad T530. And as you can see, I'm already in the /tftp boot directory, which is where the ISC inetd, or it may be xinetd. I actually forget what tftp daemon OpenBSD uses, but whatever daemon it uses the standard /tftp boot. So there are really three main files, and this is by no means a tutorial, I am just showing my netboot setup. So, as you can see, I have all my bootloaders, but for Debian, I have these two files. The bootloader, and then the initial RAM disk. So the bootloader will load, and then it will be provided the RAM disk, and then the RAM disk will boot into the Debian installer. And how is this configured, you may ask? Well, through this file. This is not a super sophisticated setup. This is really just so I have a selection of operating systems. And in preparation for the previous video on this machine, I booted into the G-Part Live boot that I also have set up to secure erase the hard disk. But in this case, we will be looking at this menu entry, which is Debian. And as you can see, this points to the Linux kernel provided by Debian. And then this append option right here tells the tells PXE Linux to provide this kernel option to the Linux kernel. And this is what provides the RAM disk to the kernel. And yeah, so that's the basic setup for the PXE server. As you can see, I don't just do PXE. Of course, I also do Sun stuff. I have I've tried playing around with Power Macintosh stuff that to varying degrees of success. Power Macintosh Open Firmware seems to be much pickier than Sun Open Boot when it comes to what sort of files it will load, and also much less verbose, which was probably surprising to anyone who knows about the verbosity or lack thereof when it comes to Sun Open Boot. But anyway, that's basically what we're dealing with on the server side. Now we can get to, actually installing. So with that all covered, we can start the machine up. Spam F2 for boot options and onboard NIC. And it should, the Mac Mini picked it up. And now I can hit tab and just type in Debian and it will load the required files, and before too long it should extract the initial RAM disk and boot. Let's see. English locale, United States, American English. Let's see. I don't have those firmwares on hand. I will install them later. So this is far from the first time that I've installed an operating system from a network boot configuration, but this is definitely the first time I've installed an operating system on an x86 computer from a network boot configuration. Most of my experience with network boot comes in the form of, Sun systems. Eastern time zone. So yes, now we are getting into disk partitioning. I think giving Debian 60 gigabytes should be fine, so let's just give Windows 7 a square 100. Let's see. Automatically partition free space. Let's see. I'm gonna go with a separate home partition. That all looks well and good. And as you can see, it's because this uses MBR as the partition map. These two are primary partitions, and then it created logical partitions for the rest of the partitions for the Debian partitions. So finish partitioning and write changes to disk. And as we covered last time, this has dedicated graphics, so that may cause some issue when first booting the system. If that's the case, then I'll just need to boot up in single user mode and, install the graphics drivers by hand. And so, yeah, this is just going to run. I will be back when it does something different. So now it is on the screen that says configuring APT, or apt. So now that the base system is installed, I assume this is where I select what additional packages I want. This will probably be where I can select things like desktop environment and stuff. Yes. Let's see. You know what? Honestly, most of the desktops I use GTK, so I'm gonna go with LXQT. Try something different. Let's see. I want the SSH server, because you never know when you'll need to, remote access or anything like that. Continue. So now we have this screen. That is not Windows Vista, that is Windows 7, but close enough. Let's see. When your computer boots. Yes, install on primary drive. Dev SCA. Let's see. Yeah, let's reboot. And we should be able to just leave it, not have to do anything. And there we go. Let's see. So we have Windows 7 on SDA1. I want Debian Linux. And with any luck, this will, just do its thing. Failed to load the Wi-Fi firmware, of course. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna need to install that manually, which really isn't much of an issue at all. Let's see here. Already from the login screen, I'm getting a very, mid-2000s vibe, and I really like that. I feel like it's very fitting for the computer, for, the age of the computer. I will configure this to my liking, because, I'm already quite impressed, honestly. And yeah, I'll be back when that is all done. So, here we have the completed system. Now, first things first, I want to talk about the graphics drivers in use. And let me pull up a NeoFetch for that really quickly. So, this identifies the GPU as an NVIDIA Quadro NVS 160M, which this is. Now, you may be wondering why I am pointing this out, and that is because this is using the Nouveau drivers and not the the official NVIDIA drivers. And the reason why I chose to do that is because this graphics card is so old that the driver version compatible with this graphics card is no longer packaged for this version of Debian, which is the newest version out. But I do have wireless working. So yeah, everything is good, up to date. I've installed some extra programs, including a bunch of games. And I think, really the big thing is the games. So a personal favorite of mine is GNOME Robots. Let's see, let's just make sure the, let's see, let's see, oh wow. They removed the ability to do, Windows as the, robots, which is, I didn't know that. But yeah. As always, this is just a fun little, I guess you could consider it a time waster. It's a, it's a, Yahoo! There we go. It's basically the GNOME version of the Apple II game Daleks, if anyone remembers that. I'm not sure if my channel audience is really you know, that, I'm not sure if there's anyone really old enough in my channel audience to remember that, but, that would be the inspiration for this game. But yeah, that's the basic idea behind robots. And the other game that I want to check out exercises the 3D capabilities, and that would be Cube 2 Sauerbraten. And I think it's worth noting that Sauerbraten is a first-person shooter with heavy gun usage, so if you are not comfortable with, you know, seeing weaponry like that in this video, then I will put a timestamp up on screen where you can skip to after I am finished with this demonstration. And I'm not sure if you saw in the upper left-hand corner, but it identified the driver in use as the Nouveau driver. So let's just, I always love saying the ragdoll velocity multiplier to maximum. Let's see. Graphics. Let's just turn everything to like the highest graphical stress, and then res 1440 by 900, full screen. That'll be good. And then let's see. Let's start out with a bot match. You know what? Let's do Suburb, because I really like Suburb as a map. Also, the audio stuttering is not present like it was on Windows. Let's see. Oh. Oh. This is bad. Let's see. Let's try that. Well, there we go. So there's one more thing that I really want to do with the bot match, and that is this. Let's see, I want efficiency, concept map. Let's see. I generally do this with Canyon. And then, so I have a ton of bots all around me. And right now they're doing nothing, but as soon as like, you know, something happens, they will start shooting each other. So, at least I think. Let's see. Let's try it with the... There we go. And then I can become a spectator and see the entire thing play out. So they're basically just all killing each other all the time. So yeah. This has been interesting. I've really enjoyed playing around with this. This was my first time working with LXQT. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a good evening.